Welcome back to my channel and the AUC Talks channel. I appreciate having you back. Bringing to you a video reaction to the United States women's national team unfortunately getting knocked out of the Women's World Cup. We'll get into it now. Out of the Women's World Cup. Similar to the men's side, if we are really objective and we're looking into the results, only one win, 2 draws at the group stage, out of the round of 16 to an European team. So unfortunately we are out. It came down to the finest of margins, millimeters, but there is a lot of reaction, a lot of people saying things about this game, saying things about the rest of the world has caught up to us. I'll give my takes on it. It shouldn't be that long of a video. In my opinion, there are 3 main topics for us to discuss, and ultimately reasons that were pivotal to us getting knocked out in this game performance throughout the entire tournament. First, we gotta say Vlatko Andonovski, bad coach, in my opinion, bad coaching. Not only his substitutions that took too long and the lack of self-criticism against the Netherlands, saying that we were dominating the game when we didn't have more possession. Yeah, we created more chances, but for anyone watching, they could say that our chances weren't that big, even though apps may fool you into thinking they were. But I thought his substitutions took too long. Tactics were a little bit pragmatic, as give the ball to the wingers, or Oren, I'm sorry, I don't want to mispronounce her name. Expect something to happen. And those tactics didn't really work. I thought our fullbacks were really pragmatic, trying to go forward. When they did, like today against Sweden, the crosses weren't good. We looked like it wasn't a cohesively well-drilled side. We looked far from it, especially against the European sides. We saw it throughout the tournament. The Portugal match is probably the most underwhelming one and most concerning, because Portugal's not a powerhouse at the women's side, and historically they haven't done well, and we got outplayed. They had more possession than us. They had more control of the game, dictated the tempo of the game, which is really important to allowing yourself to even have counterattacks. We didn't really have much of those. So yeah, bad coach, I think it's one of the main things. Second thing, aging squad, and this is the most important one in my opinion. It is a change of guard. A lot of people are saying that, oh, you're washed, oh, the rest of the world has caught up to our game, but I don't think so. I think that realistically, what is happening here is the same that happened with Italy, and it's happening currently with Germany, a change of at the men's national level. But this happens every time in soccer, football, calcio, however you want to say it. A change of guard. Older players that have achieved something don't have that chip on their shoulders, don't have that motivation to prove something again, and a younger crop comes in. If the younger crop is not as talented as the previous one, they're going to find it tough. They're going to have to take some time to find their feet at the pro level, at the world stage, representing your country, especially with the USA. We have such huge expectations for the women because historically they have done really well. I mean, it's tough, and unfortunately we saw the consequences. More proof that we have a change of guard. We have an older average age of players that were involved in games compared to the last 2 World Cups. And look at our bench today, guys. I'm so sorry. Lynn Williams, great player, 30-year-old, but let's get into this. Look, this is a very interesting stat. I mean, let's even look at our lineup here. We have 4 players over the age of 30. Sweden only had 1. We had a 35-year-old goalkeeper, 31, and Alex Morgan, 34. And the average age of the starting lineups are pretty similar, 28 years old. They are a little bit older. Sweden was a little bit older by months, but really close. It shouldn't be that big of a difference. But then what we also have is, coming off the bench, this is really crucial. The United States brought 30-year-old Williams, who did really well, a 38-year-old Megan Rapinoe, 35-year-old and 32-year-old. Sweden brought 26-year-old, a 33-year-old, a 27-year-old, and a really exciting Benderson, a great player for Everton. And we ultimately only brought players over the age of 30. And the fact that we're still relying on a 30-year-old coming off the bench to create the most amount of chances in such a huge game shows that the younger guard isn't as good as it was previously. Which brings me to the next point. Even with a change of guard, things can succeed and you can have a good team. Italy at the Euros, for example, had a really good, they ended up winning the Euros with a bit of a change of guard. The United States here, the last reason that I think we had an underperforming World Cup was a lack of star players. Yeah, we have big name players like Rapinoe, Morgan, but no star performances apart from Oren and Sophia Smith, who's really young and we should look forward to in the future for a great career. But Alex Morgan, top 1 stat for the entire tournament, and it's not a good one. Biggest amount of big chances missed with 5. She scores 3 of those, which would be a good conversion. It would be a different tournament for us, different bracket, different side, everything. Unfortunately, she didn't perform. She's a really good person, good player, great player back in the day, a legend of the game for us. But unfortunately, her legacy carried her on here, and people are going to sugarcoat her performances. Megan Rapinoe had an awful, horrible tournament in my opinion. Missing sitters, playing terribly, questionable decision making, which you don't like to see in an older, more experienced player. And I will say this: I don't want to get political, but if you demand equal pay, expect equal criticism. She had a poor tournament. And if you compare the criticism that the guys get, Pulisic for missing that chance against the Netherlands, Musa at Valencia, McKinney for his weight issues that are not even that bad, they get slattered. So many memes, so much criticism, and Megan Rapinoe is probably going to get that, but is probably going to get that and not like it, and again advocate that our country was never fair for people like her. She's making over $3 million a year. Come on, if that's not being fair. Anyways, back to the main point: no star performers. Megan Rapinoe was really bad. I mean, ended up being the penalty. Ultimately, I know other people missed, but ultimately the penalty that made us get out. Even though it came down to really fine margins. Alex Morgan, starting star striker, had a really underwhelming tournament in my opinion. She got an assist, but that's bare minimum for a player like her. And Oren alongside Sophia Smith were the only players that I think can leave with their head held high in terms of I was a standout performer. And that's it. Ultimately, judging by performances, I think they would be the only 2 ones that could even remotely get a shout at the team of the tournament. And you don't want that. We are the United States of America, and the women's side, we are a powerhouse. Should be striving for more. Now, before I leave the video, I don't want to be too negative about the entire thing, so I will mention my standout players and the players that I think we can look forward to for the next cycle and perhaps lead us to another victory sometime in the future. I have Sophia Smith, obviously the biggest amount of goal contributions in this team with 3. Really nice, props to her. Erratic passing, but she's still really young. We'll probably watch her fix that aspect of her game. She seems to have a good mentality as well, sound kid, so I wish her all the best. Horan again, or Horan, I don't know, I don't want to mispronounce her name, especially since we know the word that it can sort of sound like. Anyways, really good player, world-class player. I think she would start for most teams in this tournament. Ertz, which unfortunately we're not going to see in the next cycle. She did mention it's probably the last time that we saw her with a US jersey. Really sad to see, because she's a great defender, great player, great distributor, amazing player, honestly. We did keep 3 clean sheets, so all for all, it wasn't all that bad at the defensive side of the game. So Naher, good goalkeeper, kept 3 clean sheets again, did her part, even in the penalty shootouts we didn't go through, but good performances from her. And lastly, a player that I think no one's talking about, but Naomi Girma. I think she's the future of our backline. Really good player, really similar to Ertz as well. Fast, can intercept, know her positioning well, and a good passer of the ball as well. She was the most accurate passer for us in the entire tournament, so props to her. Really good player. Players that underperformed, in my opinion: Alex Morgan, Megan Rapinoe, bye-bye. Time to say goodbye. Go enjoy your activist life. And also, I'm really surprised that she chose to go far right during the penalties when she's a clear big leftist. But anyways, bye Megan Rapinoe, your cycle is done. Thank you for the memories. Great player for the national team. Now you're free to have your activist life. And I'll mention Sullivan as Rodman, really underwhelming. We expected a lot from her. Didn't have a good tournament at all. A lot of shots that went everywhere. A lot of shots that were weak. Bad crossing. And I'll also mention Sullivan. I think it's a little bit harsh perhaps, but really erratic passing. She sort of reminds me of Tyler Adams, who I think our fan base overrates a lot. She's a great at tackling, not too good at progressing the ball forward, and ultimately not a game changer at all. But maybe this is a little harsh. But yes, these are my takes on the U.S. women's national team getting knocked out. Let's hope that in the future we'll have a better campaign. more likable roster. I mean, I think the fact that Megan Rapinoe's leaving will probably make it more likable for a lot of people. And let's also hope that more people will support them in the future. I think they made themselves a little bit unlikable for a lot of fans. I still root for them. Still woke up really early to watch them, but it didn't happen. Thank you. Comment, leave a like, share with your friends, subscribe if you want to. And yeah, I don't know which channel I'm posting this on, but anyways, check out AUC Talks, check out Soccer Ash, trying to get into this whole YouTube thing. Let me know if I have a future or not, or maybe I'm finished, just like Rapinoe.